This wrestling radio show may contain strong language that may be offensive to those under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, please get permission to listen to this episode. Enjoy, comment, and subscribe.
The 9th annual TNA Turning Point pay-per-view was live on pay-per-view, and what looked like on the card to be a snoozer of a pay-per-view, as that's what many of you had dubbed it to be originally, it actually turned out being a phenomenal pay-per-view. If you were not able to catch it tonight, have no fear. We have you covered, as it's the RCWR Post Show covering TNA Turning Point 2012 with live fan reactions, and the Post Show starts right now. Let's do it, guys.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And we welcome you this Sunday night on November 11th, 2012. It's the RCWR Show, Post Show, that is. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank you guys so much for checking out tonight's episode. Coming at you live right now in progress on blogtalkradio.com, over at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. If you're checking us out right now on Stitcher, mad shout out to you. Hey, you know how we do it over here. As always, we have the chat room that is open and loaded up right now. Feel free to jump on in there, especially if you had happened to see tonight's Turning Point pay-per-view. We'd love to see what you had thought of it. Of course, we have the phone lines that will be opening up randomly throughout this episode. So feel free to give us a call right now. Just kick on back, smile, and dial, as we'll be going over the match card. We'll be sharing live fan reactions as we run from the card from top to bottom. We'll be going over it. Kick back and smile. 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. You can also, if you happen to be a little phone shy, interact with us on Twitter right now. You can hit us up during the course of this episode on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. While you're at it, follow us, send us a shout-out, let us know who you are. You can also follow us on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. Like our page, follow us on Facebook, get the very latest in wrestling-related news, and so much more. You know, before we dive into tonight's episode covering Turning Point, we definitely want to extend a thank you to the good staff at Blog Talk Radio for making tonight's episode be a staff pick for tonight. We appreciate that gesture. Thank you, Blog Talk Radio staff, very kindly, and we thank the many of you that are checking out this episode right now. For those of you that might be listening to this for the very first time, we do hope that you kick on back and you have yourself a good time checking out this show. All right, so let's talk about tonight's pay-per-view, folks, and what a great way to get this, as it is Veterans Day. Mad shout-out to those of you that serve in the military and you happen to still be overseas. We appreciate everything that you are doing, all in the good name of making sure that we are safe over here. We do hope that you're able to get back home safely when it comes time for you to be able to come home. But we really do appreciate what you good men and women are doing for our country, whether you're serving right now or you have already served, you're back. Hey, we just know we appreciate all the men and women in military. All right, so with that in mind, good transition, too, because what better way to talk about TNA's Turning Point pay-per-view than to talk about the way it had actually kicked off tonight, which was a really great gesture, I thought, as we saw TNA commentator Taz say to the Impact Arena crowd and those watching at home how many people were affected by Hurricane Sandy, himself included, as he lives in the New York area, and he had really felt it pretty hard. And he mentioned how they were getting ready to do something phenomenal, something unprecedented, something never quite heard of, as he introduced Florida radio personality Buckethead and Bully Ray into the ring. And Buckethead had revealed that right then and there they were going to do something that probably might have set a Guinness World Record. And this Guinness World Record had to do with texting Red Cross to 90999, where $10 will automatically be deducted from your billing cycle, your cell phone's billing cycle, the next month, that is. And it'll go towards the victims of Hurricane Sandy. And Buckethead, they want it for everybody in the arena. They want it for everybody watching at home to send that text donation at the same time. Now, we're waiting very patiently. We're going to be making sure that we stay on top of this information because we want to know, in fact, if they did set a record. And trust me, when we know, we will share the information with you. But I just really thought that was a great, unique moment right there. I couldn't really help but take a look at what had happened there and say to myself, wow, talk about TNA really getting a jump start on that Hurricane Sandy. They had already got the ball rolling just a little bit a week prior, but they really started going at it aggressively with their campaigning this week. Very curious to see what a certain company up in Stamford, Connecticut is going to do after seeing how TNA decided to handle it tonight. But really a great touching moment right there for those of you that had donated. Hey, you know we love it when you guys are able to do that and step up for a very worthy cause. If you had missed it or if it didn't come to you, hey, you still have time to help out those in need on this Veterans Day, as we are now just a week and a half away from the Thanksgiving holiday. Do the right thing, help those out in need that were affected by the hurricane, and text 90999 to Red Cross. $10 is all it takes, just a lousy freaking $10. $10, it goes a real long ways. It'll help those out. And the best part, you won't get billed for that until your next billing cycle. So text that, 90999 to Red Cross. You can also make an impact by going to Impact Wrestling's website over at ImpactWrestling.com, or you can go over to ShopTNA.com and you can purchase a Make an Impact t-shirt. You can get it for guys. They also now have female versions of the shirt. You can get that for $20. 100% all proceeds will go towards the Hurricane Sandy victims. So really two cool things that you can do right there to really make an impact and let your voices be heard as a TNA fan and as a person that just is looking out for those in great need. And with that in mind, that pretty much had set the tone for the pay-per-view, as we had saw a really great, awesome video package. Wow. Really great video package from Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, as the tone was set for this match. Austin Aries in the package telling Jeff Hardy that he's been to the dance before as a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He's been in many matches over the years. He doesn't need the millions and millions of fans that Jeff Hardy has. He doesn't need TNA management basically all sucking up to him. He's proven that he is, without a doubt, the greatest man alive, but that it's going to be Jeff Hardy that's going to have a lot to prove, as he's the one with the target on his back right now. So the tone is set with that video package and just what you can expect from their match, which, without a doubt, no-brainer, was a 5-star quality type of match. And to kick off the Turning Point pay-per-view, we got Samoa Joe and Magnus in that no disqualification match for the TNA television title. You knew about the program that these two men had been having within recent months. You know the history of these two guys, as they used to be former tag champions. These two men, great long rivalry that they've been getting into over the past series of months. Here they are again going at it head to head. And for the early part of this match, we saw Samoa Joe. He was throwing it down, but then we saw the tides turn in Magnus' favor. For those of you that are watching, you remember that key critical point there where Samoa Joe was looking for that suicide body dive between the ropes, and Magnus had connected with a steel chair to the head of Samoa Joe. And from there, Magnus was pretty much in control of the match. And, man, I mean, these two guys, man, it was like watching two freaking bulls going at it. I love how these guys were just locking it up, and you could just tell, really, these two guys, they just hated each other's guts. And eventually we did see Samoa Joe get back on the offense, and what I really loved about Samoa Joe pouring it on Magnus, I loved how he was going for that rear naked chokehold, that trademark chokehold that Joe knows how to apply so well. We saw Magnus be able to get out of that move once from a standing point, but then when the second time came, man, you know when Samoa Joe applies that hold when you are laying on your side on that canvas, in the middle of the canvas on top of that, you know it's just a matter of time before Magnus either makes you tap out or you're going to pass out. And that's exactly what had happened with Magnus, who just passed out. And it was really interesting in this match, folks, because if you've watched your traditional matches where you see a submission move be applied and it looks like the person that is in the hold, they are just lifeless, the referee usually picks up the arm and does it 3 times, and they don't have that arm raised before that third attempt, pretty much the match is in the books. And if you were listening to the commentators, particularly Todd, as the commentators for the whole pay-per-view tonight was Taz, Mike Tenay, Todd Kinley. Todd Kinley had pointed out, okay, his arm looks like it's about to drop. Okay, he's got 2 more to let the ref know he's still in it. But we only see Magnus drop his arm once, and the referee just threw the match out. Samoa Joe just dominating with this victory over Magnus, but still very impressive from young Magnus. I expect big things for this guy to happen in the next coming year, which is just a couple of weeks away. I think he's on the rise. I think he is destined to take that television title off of the hands of Samoa Joe. You mark my words on that. I don't really see this feud being over just yet. I'd be surprised if Joe moved on to his next victim. I don't know. I'm just getting this weird vibe that Magnus and Joe aren't quite done just yet. But nonetheless, a great way to kick off tonight's pay-per-view. Home run off the break. Match quality-wise, if I were to rate this out of 5 stars, I'd have to give this match, hands down, 5 out of 5. Really great match right there. Speaking of rating the matches, if you did see TNA Turning Point tonight, we do have a poll that is open right now. For those of you in the chat room, we're about to send you a link. And if you did see the pay-per-view tonight, make sure that you cast your vote. Let us know how you either enjoyed or disliked the pay-per-view. And if we have enough tallies before we go off the air tonight, we'll share with all you listeners the results of it, see what you all have said overall. But feel free to jump on in there and cast that vote right now. All right, let's have at it. Let's move on with the next match on the card, folks, which saw ODB and EY, Eric Young, team up in a mixed tag match as they take on Tara and her boo, Jessie. Now, one thing that was very interesting about this, and if you were listening to our match prediction special this past Saturday, and for those of you that did check it out, we humbly thank you guys tremendously as you had quickly made that be a overnight sensation this weekend, checking out that special. Thank you guys so much. one of the things I pointed out on there was TNA management, they did not make this match be for the TNA tag titles, which really would have made sense when you think about it, because ODB and EY, they haven't done anything with those titles, and every time you turn around, EY just keeps disappearing to either tend to something personal or he's doing his little fishing show. So either way, EY always MIA like Chuck Norris. Very weird right here, right? But in either case, it is what it is with this match. As I said, weird. Tag team titles not on the line. Tara not defending the Knockouts title on this pay-per-view. Mixed tag match, normal tag match was entertaining, but I must admit, when I think about the entire card in retrospect, this match was probably one of the weakest of the night. Now, some people might disagree with that, but that's just me personally. I felt we really could have done without this match, or maybe the match could have had a little bit more to it if they would have had the tag titles be on the line. Of course, the knockout tag titles I'm talking about, folks. But in either case, let's talk about all the people that actually did bring their A game to this match. ODB hands down, EY hands down, Tara, yes. Surprisingly, Jesse really didn't do too much. He actually did shine a bit in this match. It was decent, but again, we could have did without it. In either case, we actually did see the team of ODB and Eric Young pick up the victory over Tara and her boo. All right, let's move on to the next match now, where we had Who Wants a Mustache Ride? Mr. Joey Ryan trying to bring Sleaze back to the TNA X division, TNA period for that matter, as he is taking on the whole effing show, Mr. Rob Van Dam. A lot of people thought that this was going to be Joey Ryan's night. A lot of folks, including myself, as I did go on record and say that I felt Joey Ryan should be able to pick up this win over RVD. A lot of us were very disappointed with this match and seeing Rob Van Dam pick up the victory over Joey Ryan. And let's really talk about the reason why some of us felt disappointed in seeing Joey Ryan lose to RVD. First off, RVD, he's been a champion with every single wrestling promotion that he's been with. And when it's all said and done, you look at RVD, and he's held just about over 20 titles from what Taz, Mike Tenay, and them have pointed out in his illustrious wrestling career. And so he's been to the dance so many times. That's RVD's whole thing. RVD, as we have mentioned on Impact Showdown Radio, has been a bit quiet within recent weeks ever since he won the TNA X Division title back at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. He's just been kind of popping up sparingly here and there, not really doing anything significant. And you go over to Joey Ryan, he's pretty much been popping up in TNA a hell of a lot more than RVD has been popping up. And Joey Ryan has been there for like about, 5-6 months off and on, but now he's going at a full-time status since supposedly winning the TNA contract to be a full-time wrestler. So you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, Joey Ryan having a lot to prove, the more hungrier one in this match, Joey Ryan possibly being the one to go into this contest and get the belt from RVD, and this title would have been very significant for Joey Ryan, not to mention for Joey Ryan's stock, as it would have marked the first time in Joey Ryan's career that he's won a significant major championship from a major wrestling promotion. Talk about really great TV exposure, good way to get your stock up. Did not happen for Mr. Joey Ryan tonight. It really did just prove how much of an impact Matt Morgan plays when he is at ringside for Joey Ryan's matches. And RVD, the thing that really just rubbed me the wrong way until we saw RVD leave the ring, I didn't like the fact that RVD was able to do the 5-star frog splash to Joey Ryan and just cleanly beat him in the middle of the ring. I looked at that and I said, okay, really, this is how we're going to end this before it can really blow up. But then we see RVD celebrating his victory. He goes over to the top of the stage area. He's celebrating. He turns around. Wham! He gets hit with a devastating blueprint kick to the face by one Matt Morgan. Really like that touch right there. Lets me know that Joey Ryan, Matt Morgan, RVD, oh, it's popping now. This storyline is really just beginning to take form. Not over yet. I love that touch that was put at the end. Hey, who knows? Maybe Magnus might slide on in there next and work something with RVD. I'd love to see that, folks. All right, let's move on with our fourth match of the night, which saw one Joseph Park take on, what's up, Doc? Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about the Director of Chaos, a.k.a. Luke Gallows. That's the name I know him by, but we're calling him Doc right now, whatever. All right, Joseph Park taking on Doc. You know what this match is about. Joseph Park, he still has not forgotten the torture that Aces and Eights had put him through for a series of weeks, how they were starving him, all that. Joseph Park, he wants that retribution. Hey, he gets Aces and Eights, Doc, the same man that had just sat up and single-handedly destroyed Sting this past Thursday night on Impact Wrestling. And for those of you that might have missed the health update on Sting, Sting is in the hospital right now, and there's going to be another update given for Sting on this Thursday night's Impact Wrestling. That will probably be delivered by one Hulk Hogan, who actually was not in attendance at the Turning Point pay-per-view tonight, as he was at his good friend Sting's side in the hospital. Hey, we didn't really need Hulk Hogan for this. All the matches just spoke for themselves. In either case, we had Joseph Park taking on Doc. Joseph Park going into this match looked like a dead man walking, looked like he was walking to his own funeral. You know, critical point in this match, we saw Joseph Park get busted open as Doc had brought some type of chain into the ring. And Joseph Park, he had a Kirk-out moment. He looked at his own blood, and it was almost as if Joseph had summoned the spirit of his brother Abyss, and he just started moving like Abyss. He even delivered the Black Hole Slam. Hey, when it's all said and done, no, Joseph Park, after doing that Black Hole Slam, he kind of had a little bit of a pause moment where he really wasn't sure what just happened. He then tried to go for the pin, but we saw Doc kick out. And from there, that was pretty much it after that, folks. Doc just came out of nowhere with an upset victory over Joseph Park. You look at this, you say to yourself, okay, Doc, by getting this win, no doubt, he solidified his placement in the Aces and Eights, as a lot of pressure was being put on him this week to earn his keep in the group after losing his mask just a week prior. So Doc with the upset win over Joseph Park, but when it's all said and done, I really can't help but look at what's happening with Joseph Park right now. Joseph Park, I love the way he was moving in the ring tonight, because he moved like a completely different person. He didn't move like Abyss, not until he had that whole Kirk out moment. I have really been loving how Joseph, a.k.a. Abyss, has been able to just really separate the Abyss character from the Joseph character. I mean, it really has you believing that you're watching two completely different people. I just really think that this was the best curveball that Joseph Park, a.k.a. Abyss, could do. And for those of you that don't know by now, Joseph Park is Abyss. I don't know where you guys have been, in case you might have missed that memo. But, yeah, pretty good right here. Love this guy. And, even though Joseph Park had got a loss from Doc, when it's all said and done, look at the huge pop that he had received post-match as we had saw Bully Ray come down to the ring, and he raises Joseph's hand in victory, kind of like a morale victory is what the commentator said, and that was exactly what it was. Even though Joseph lost, he still had one hell of an impressive outing, and go figure, this was only his third match, folks. Can you believe that? We've been watching this Joseph Park character, it seems like, for about maybe 6, 7, possibly 8 months, and this guy's only been in 3 matches. Well, it's really been some really great moments to see Joseph pop up. I like that. They should do it the way they're doing it right now. Keep it exactly the way they're doing it. Have it be kind of a novelty act that they bust out from time to time. All right, let's move on with our next match, which was for the TNA Tag Titles, as DNK, or as I like to call them, Daniels and Kazarian, had took on Supermax, Hernandez, and Chavo Guerrero Jr. And you know, this match right here, you knew this one was going to be nothing but money right here. You knew these 4 guys going into this match, they bring so much great tag team expertise. You knew this was going to be one of the match stealers of the night. Didn't quite live up to match stealer of the night, but it was a damn good match nonetheless. Is it just me, or does it seem like now more and more we see Christopher Daniels kind of busting out a little bit of vintage Shawn Michaels with the way that he's dancing around in the ring and all that? I'm not really sure about you guys, but I don't know. Something about Daniels there, the way he be moving in the ring and does his little dancing, trying to take off his little vest. It's got a little Shawn Michaels type of vibe going on right there. But we had this tag match, and if you guys actually picked against Chavo and Hernandez, guys, I want you to kind of slap yourself silly, because this right here, there was just no way Chavo and Hernandez were going to lose the tag titles tonight. As expected, Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez, they did retain their tag titles, but nonetheless, you're kind of asking yourself, and I definitely want to bring in some callers on this, because I see we have quite a few people that are, looks like they're listening to the show, but if you're waiting to call in to talk about the pay-per-view, you can do it right now. Just note where I am right now. I don't want you to give any spoilers for those that might have not watched the pay-per-view. You can talk about the pay-per-view right now. Just don't go any further into the matches than where I'm at right now. And you can do that. Call 646-478-3525. Listen to those prompts so you can get yourself heard live on the air. Why you want to hear yourself live on the air, I don't know, but I think what I'm really trying to say is get yourself on the air so you can share your thoughts. That sounds a lot better. All right, but in either case, we had this match right here. You know, one of the things that jumped out at me was, okay, you go with Chavo and Hernandez for the retain, but just where exactly do you go afterwards? Because the tag division is a little bit thin right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Chavo and Hernandez continue to work a program with Daniels and Kazarian. At the same time, though, I would love to see the team of Kid Cash and Gunner come back, and I wouldn't mind seeing them work a program with Chavo and Hernandez. Heck, Magnus, after the defeat that he had took from Samoa Joe, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Magnus kind of go back into the tag division, and heck, maybe he could actually team up with one Doug Williams and try to go after the tag belts as well. There's 2 options right there, but I just got this weirdest feeling that they are not done with Daniels and Kazarian just yet. I could possibly entertain the idea of Daniels and Kazarian getting the tag belts back, but it has to be in a gimmick type of match. But TNA, like I said, they could also go that route and introduce a new tag team into the mix. But I still think that this rivalry right here has some legs left in it. Let's see what happens. All right, let's move along with our next match now, where we have the Cowboy, James Storm, taking on Robert Roode and AJ Styles, as it's that number one contenders match. And, folks, you know what's at stake right here. Whoever becomes the new number one contender, they'll get that shot at the respected TNA World Heavyweight Champion, be it Austin Aries or Jeff Hardy, I would assume at the next pay-per-view. Now, unfortunately, whoever is the one to get pinned during this match, they will not be able to get another shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, at least not until Bound for Glory 2013. And I just got to say it one more time because I love putting it at the end of that stipulation. Ouch, just to wait a whole year to get another shot. Well, it would be the Cowboy, James Storm, that would get the win. Now, who he pinned, surprisingly, folks, was one AJ Styles, and this just really sent a WTF for you TNA wrestling fans as you're asking yourselves what the hell could possibly be next for AJ Styles, who now has to sit on the sidelines for a whole year. AJ Styles, he had a lot going into this match as he brought up a damn good point when he was being interviewed backstage by Jeremy Borash. He mentioned how he had been in some of the worst he mentioned how he had some of the worst distractions this year. And, of course, we know what those distractions are, so we don't even need to go into detail about that. But he just mentioned how he's been put in so many positions where he's had nothing but distractions, and on top of that, he hasn't held the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in 3 years. 3 years, folks. So for him, that was all the ammunition, that was all the fuel that he needed to go into this match and get the job done. You go over to Robert Roode's side. Robert Roode, as far as he was concerned, once more, he has to prove why he is the better, the superior athlete than James Storm, as he was looking to pin James Storm to win his shot at becoming the new number one contender and taking back his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. You go to James Storm's side, it's something that James Storm has been saying time and time again, and during the interview that he had with Jeremy Borash, I almost had deja vu. It seemed like there was a glitch in the Matrix because I swore the interview segment that James Storm had with JB, it sounded very similar to something he said about maybe 2, possibly 3 weeks ago. I wasn't sure if I was watching a live feed or if that was something from a couple of months back, but James Storm mentioning how he's been proving it night in, night out, that this is his time, this is his night, he's going to get it done, he's going to continue to prove why he is deserving of that number one spot. He wants to get back to that mountaintop, known then as the TNA Championship. And once again, James Storm in an impressive outing with the victory. And, you know, you look at this match, for me, this was hands down the match of the night. Aside from the main event, this was the match of the night. 5-star quality type of match right here. You really just did not know how this was going to go down, and those final few seconds of the match to see James Storm just come in, and he just delivered that last call super kick to AJ Styles after doing a backstabber to Bobby Roode, I believe, and then picking up the win that way. That was just really freaking sweet right there. Really love that. You know, of course, you go over to AJ Styles now, and, you know, we can't really go any further into the card without acknowledging AJ Styles, where the question is right now, where does AJ Styles go from here? And for you guys that call into the show, I would love to hear your ideas on this. What could possibly happen with AJ Styles going forward? Because that's a whole year that he has to build back up. You know, some could have argued that James Storm could have been the one to lose this and he could have been in a perfect position where he could have built more of a stronger fan base for an entire year, really get that huge baby face pop for him going, because he would have been truly an underdog going forward. But now those tides have turned in favor of one AJ Styles. You know, a lot can happen in a year. We could have already seen Jeff Hardy had his run with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, or Austin Aries, heck, or, hey, he's looking damn good right now. Again, anything can happen in a year. Matt Morgan, Robert Roode, all these guys that I've mentioned within a year, they could have already had their crack at the TNA Championship belt before AJ Styles finally gets his shot. You can't help but look at this and say to yourself, okay, just what exactly is going to happen next? You know, AJ Styles, I think the position that he's in right now is a perfect one. It gives him an opportunity to go back and just prove himself over and over and over again, put himself in that right type of a position where he can win the fans over, start rebuilding, but also at the same time, if necessary, this gives AJ Styles the opportunity to maybe go a little rogue here. He could possibly go the route of a heel. You never know. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like it's been a good minute since we've seen a heel AJ Styles. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that happen. I know we got pretty much enough baby faces as it is right now. I don't really think we need AJ Styles remaining a face, because when it's all said and done, you think about the top faces that are in TNA right now. Unfortunately, AJ Styles is a bit lost in the shovel, so maybe he could do the next best thing. Maybe he could be a kick-ass heel, but it is what it is right here. Of course, we got to talk about Robert Roode briefly. As we see, he wasn't the one that was pinned, so now he is still in that title hunt picture. It's nice that Bobby Roode is still going to be lingering in the corners there, waiting for that opportunity to get his shot. All right, let's move on with our next match, which was our seventh match, as Devon from Aces and Eights, the Sergeant at Arms, Man of Wars, as I like to call him, took on the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. You know, if you would have told me 3, 4, 5 years ago, hey, Lee, can you imagine Devon and Kurt Angle pretty much in a main event match for a TNA pay-per-view? I'd say, hell no, I don't see that happening. What the hell are you smoking? Now you fast forward to right now, and it's like, wow. And that's what's really funny about this. You know, thinking about the card, and the way I've laid out the card for you guys is exactly how we had got each match. Now, if you've been keeping track so far, then you know that after the Devon versus Kurt Angle match, we just got the main event left. Ain't it funny, folks, how far up the Devon and Kurt Angle match had went? You would have thought that it actually would have been about James Storm versus AJ Robert Roode for that number one contender spot, right? No. It's actually Devon versus Kurt Angle, second to the last match. And, you know, this match right here, I was actually liking this match. I won't say it was a 5-star quality type of match, and part of that had to do with Devon, as I just felt that it should have been a better match. No disrespect to Devon. I mean, he's done a lot as a television champion, but, you know, Kurt Angle can only do but so freaking much to really try to put you over. And, you know, for me, this was not, hands down, this was not a 5-star quality type of match. So let's get that out the way off the break. This, if anything, was maybe a 3.5, kind of teasing at a 4 out of 5 type of match. And, you know, these guys, they were actually pretty bringing it. They were bringing it pretty damn good. I loved this. I could really tell that Kurt Angle was kind of the main lead guy in this match. Now, let's pick it up towards the end of the match, okay? We actually saw those damn Aces and Eights brothers come out, and they looked as if they were about to play a very serious factor into this match. But out of nowhere, we saw Kurt Angle just get a roll-up over Devon, and he quickly left the ring. And we just saw Aces and Nates peed off looking at Devon, and we see Doc say to Kurt Angle, he's a dead man, he's dead, he is next. That just really alludes to the fact now, it sends that strong suggestion now that he is going to possibly meet the same fate as Sting. And thank you for that correction, David, in the chat room there. Devon actually tapped out. It was actually pretty fast. I really wasn't sure if it was a quick roll-up or what. I would actually have to rewind that back, but thank you for that correction there. Devon tapped out, and basically what led up to that tap out there, folks, was Kurt Angle during a series of attacks on Devon throughout the match. Something weird had happened. It's one of those you got to rewind it back. Either Kurt Angle had kept focusing on the knee of Devon, or Devon had landed funny. Something weird happened in that match where Devon favored his leg for a majority of the match. But again, as we were just corrected there, looks as if Devon had tapped out. But in either case, Devon lost, Kurt Angle won. That's the main point. And the main point to that is it looks like the Aces and Eights from here on now, they have now put a bullseye on Kurt Angle. And Devon had pointed it out in a program that had aired just before this match, that the random attack that they had did on the Olympic gold medalist who broke his freaking neck in the Olympics or whatever the heck. You know the story. Devon actually pointed out that Kurt Angle was just a random victim, and he pretty much told him to not take his ass beating personal tonight. And, you know, I just kind of feel like this just kind of took a little bit of momentum from Devon. It just rubbed me the wrong way seeing him lose this, because the way I was booking this, I actually had Devon going over. It just really didn't seem to make much sense for me to have Kurt Angle come away with the win. But now that you put Kurt Angle in this position where he has this big bullseye on his back, I must admit, it is kind of must-see TV. I'm a little curious to see what Aces and Eights have in store for one Kurt Angle. And not to mention, we got some interesting Kurt Angle news that we need to share with you guys on this Thursday's Impact Showdown Radio. It's some pretty hilarious stuff. All right, let's talk about this main event match. Then I want to take a commercial break, and we'll open up the phone lines. All right, so the main event, we have Jeff Hardy taking on Austin Aries for the ladder match. Going to be for the TNA World Heavyweight title. This is it right here. If you know Jeff Hardy, you know his style of wrestling, you know his history, you know that Jeff Hardy, when it comes to ladder matches, you know that Jeff Hardy is the frickin' man when it comes to this type of match. Austin Aries, I mean, you really can't go wrong. Jeff Hardy, Austin Aries, it sounds like peanut butter and jelly. It is just a great freaking combination. How can you possibly go wrong with this? And for James in the chat room there, to answer your question, Chavo and Hernandez had won that match. And unfortunately, buddy, we got to say bye-bye to you, okay? All right, give me 1 second here, folks. And James, leave the chat room, buddy. All right, so moving right along now, let's talk about that main event match where we had got the TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line. All right, so it is what it is with this match. Just as I say, you knew this was going to be a classic match, these two guys locking it up. And quite honestly, for me, hands down, this was the best freaking match of the whole freaking event. Was really liking this match. This was one of those matches where you could just kick on back, you could chill, you could just enjoy the hell out of it. I was really enjoying this match. You know, it was one of those type of matches that I looked at and I just said, okay, entertain me. I actually did not tweet. I didn't do a damn thing. I didn't care how long the match had ran. I didn't care if it ran almost to the 100th hour. I just wanted to be freaking entertained. And this match, it just blew me the fuck away. I love this match. I love the genius that had went into this match, folks. And when I say the genius that went into this match, we saw things in a ladder match that never happened before. And I mean, God, you want to talk about the part where Austin Aries had stacked steel steps on top of a ladder as Jeff Hardy was originally sandwiched in between the two. And we see Austin Aries, he's climbing up that ladder, he's going for those titles, but he just gets this weird, sick feeling that something weird is going on, that Jeff Hardy is no longer beneath all that crap. And so he kind of goes back and checks to see where Jeff Hardy is. Jeff Hardy actually had left that area, and we see Jeff Hardy in the ring, and he starts attacking Aries. I mean, it was just really nice, just mind games that was going on in this, and mind games was the best way to describe this match. Critical point, we saw Jeff Hardy. He's climbing up those ladders. He's reaching for those titles, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, that's it. The match is over, right? On the contrary, we see Jeff Hardy in a position where he's either getting shorter or the titles are being raised higher over his head. And we see Jeff Hardy, he climbs another step, he tries to reach for the titles, and the titles just keep being elevated. Turns out Austin Aries had control of the device that was raising those titles. So talk about genius right there, something that I've never seen before in the history of ladder matches. If it's happened before, you know, then somebody please let me know. But to my knowledge, that was like the first time I can recall something like that happening in a ladder match. Nice little cool spot. One of the best spots. There was many spots in this match. Of course, the many spots that came from this match, the just wicked twist of fates that Jeff Hardy was able to deliver to Austin Aries from the top of the ladder onto ladders. I mean, it was some really sick stuff. I mean, on this night, folks, we actually saw vintage Jeff Hardy. And when I say vintage Jeff Hardy, I don't want you to think about Michael Cole and him saying, vintage Jeff Hardy. I don't want you thinking like that. I want you to think about the Jeff Hardy that we had back in the heyday of the Attitude Era. That young Jeff Hardy that was just fearless, that really just did not give a crap. He didn't care what he had to do to himself, to his body, all in the good name of getting a win. That was pretty much the Jeff Hardy that we saw tonight. And it was really nice because if you've been paying attention to Jeff Hardy, pretty much ever since he came back to TNA all nice and cleaned up, he's had a more traditional style of wrestling. He's been pretty much well-grounded, hasn't really been doing too many high spots. You know, he's really trying to take better care of himself, better care of his body, and you know what? I respect the hell out of that. But for this night, it was really nice to see the old Jeff Hardy back, just really not giving a hell. And when it was all said and done with this match, folks, Jeff Hardy, he defied the odds, and he proved to the greatest man alive just why he is truly the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, as Jeff Hardy was able to climb up on top of that ladder victorious and grab his TNA titles. And that, folks, is your TNA Turning Point pay-per-view. So, you know, let's take it up from top to bottom one more time. We saw Magnus lose to Samoa Joe. Joe retained his television title. ODB and Eric Young defeated Tara and Jesse. RVD defeated Joey Ryan to retain his X Division title. A little distracted here, folks. Sorry about that. Doc had defeated Joseph Park. Chavo, Guerrero, and Hernandez had defeated DNK, as I like to call him, Daniels and Kazarian for the tag titles. James Storm is your new number one contender for the TNA Championship as he pinned AJ Styles. As a result of pinning AJ Styles, Styles will not get another TNA World Championship title match until Bound for Glory 2013. Kurt Angle, in an upset, defeated Devon, and Jeff Hardy defeated Austin Aries to retain his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Overall, I won't say it was one of the best pay-per-views from TNA. I won't say it's the best of the year. I'm not going to go out there like that. I know some people probably would. But what I will say that initially, and it kind of threw a lot of people off. It didn't throw me off, but I know it threw a lot of people off that looked at the card. They looked at it originally and they said to themselves, okay, we got a lot of filler matches. This really doesn't exactly look too good. Out of 8 matches, you only got maybe 3 matches that's really freaking solid that you really want to kick back and watch. Not quite enough to actually want to order the pay-per-view. And you know what? A lot of people that had that mentality, I respect them for that. In retrospect, having the pay-per-view still fresh in my head, I would have to say out of the 8 matches, honestly, I would have to say 4 of them was really worth checking it out on pay-per-view. Of course, Samoa Joe, Magnus, Devon versus Kurt Angle, James Storm, Robert Roode, and AJ Styles in that triple threat. Also, Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries. I would have to look at those 4. Joey Ryan and RVD, that was actually surprisingly a decent match as well. I would have to say 5 matches. Yeah, it was worth ordering the pay-per-view. We really could have did without the ODB Eric Young versus Tara Jesse match since it wasn't for the TNA Knockouts titles. We really could have did without that match. They could have just took the night off for all I care. Other than that, all the other matches were pretty good. Overall, I would give this pay-per-view a modest 7.5 out of 10. I would have to give it. That's pretty much it. All right, so we're going to take a very brief commercial break. Then when we come right back, we still got a little bit of actually, we got plenty of showtime left, so we could dedicate the rest of the show to talking to those of you that had saw the pay-per-view and you want to get in your reactions, talk about the pay-per-view overall. You're more than free to do so right now. Call us up at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. We'll come right back. We'll open up the phone lines, and I'll give you my honest opinion on what I think the preview should be coming up for Impact Wrestling this Thursday night, what we could possibly expect in the short weeks to come. So do hope you're enjoying the show so far. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. If you enjoyed our coverage of the TNA Wrestling, then be sure to check out Impact Showdown Radio every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com for all the latest fallout from Impact Wrestling with the latest in TNA-related news and great live fan reactions. Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders here. Hey, by chance, are you going to miss your favorite episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown Radio as they're live in progress? Hey, that's not a problem. All you got to do is download the free podcast app in the iTunes store, and you'll be able to take all our episodes with you as you're on the move. That's right. Download it. Just search podcast in the iTunes store. It's a free app. Download it, and then from there, just search for our shows by typing in the keywords, the RCWR Show, and then you'll be able to subscribe. It's as easy as that. So check that out, and you'll be able to play all our episodes on your iPad, on your iTouch, iPod, all smartphone, mobile phones, all portable devices. Also, if you haven't checked out the Stitcher app already, highly recommend that you check that out as well, as that's another way you can check out our episodes, especially if you are always on the go. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio.
We are back. You're listening to the RCWR Post Show, covering the fallout from TNA's Turning Point pay-per-view. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Once again, we got to thank you, the listeners, for checking out this past Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, my apologies, Saturday afternoon's the RCWR show that was offering match predictions for the TNA Turning Point pay-per-view. Really appreciate the love you guys had showed. You had made that be an overnight sensation. You also had backtracked and checked out our last episode of Impact Showdown Radio, and we really appreciate you guys for checking that out. And also, you had checked out our, I guess we can now dub it as the infamous Decision 2012 episode of our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Post Show. We were covering all things WWE, and we really had some really great talk about Linda McMahon losing, what was next. If you haven't checked those out, go backtrack. It was really some good stuff that we did this week. And, of course, one more time, we just got to take this opportunity to thank the great staff at Blog Talk Radio for featuring our post show that we're doing tonight, as they made that be the staff pick of the evening. We appreciate that gesture. Hey, we're just trying to make sure that wrestling gets that proper spotlight. Once again, I can't stress it enough. If you have your own wrestling radio show, do not pop up in the chat room expecting to be able to interact with us and everybody else that's in the chat room, because you're going to automatically, unfortunately, get kicked out. Doesn't really help when part of your handle says wrestling show. It's like a red flag for us, and we take that as a utter slap in the face, because we actually don't pop up in other wrestling shows' chat rooms with show handles. We actually pop up with our real name. Very rare will you see the Infinity One Productions handle popping up in a Blog Talk Radio chat room. If you do, we already got clearance from the good folks that are doing their show for that night. Just a little FYI. I'm sure many of you can understand that and appreciate where we're coming from on that. We aren't being dicks. We're just telling it like it is. If you interact with us on Twitter, let us know what you're about. We can try to show you some love, look out for you. But if you just come in there, hey, who won the Chavo versus blah, 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 you're automatically going to get a boot, So to keep that in mind for next time. Other than that, we're doing a damn good show so far. We got plenty of showtime left. I do want to kind of wrap it up a little bit early, so we'll see how it goes tonight with you guys that call into the show. All right, let's have at it. Let's talk with you guys that saw tonight's pay-per-view. Let's have at it. 646-478-3525 is the number to call. Let's go to the 912 area code. You come on the air. You let me know your first name. Don't let me know what you had for dinner and all that other stuff, or what you did the day before. Just let me know your name, where you're calling from, and proceed. 912, you're live on the air.
Hey, it's Trey from Savannah.
Hey, Trey, what's up?
Hey, the whole TNA pay-per-view tonight, I'm gonna give it like a all around 8 out of 10 because like it was one of those pay-per-views where you could predict what was going to already happen, but you don't really mind seeing it pulled out because you already know it's going to be okay, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, the Joey Ryan RVD match, you already kind of knew what was going to happen. RVD was going to retain, and Matt Morgan was going to attack him at the end, but they didn't really mind seeing that, you know, unfold because they actually did an okay job, you know?
Yeah.
One match that really had me wondering what was going to happen next was definitely the triple threat match with AJ, Bobby, and Cowboy. I didn't know AJ was going to be the guy that's going to get pinned, you know, and everybody thinking, what's going to happen to AJ? Well, I kind of thought of, like, some scenarios that can actually happen, like AJ can either probably go back to the X Division, you know, and when Joey Ryan, whenever he gets the X Division title from RVD, which we all know is going to happen anyway, he can go probably chase after that title for a while. Or, matter of fact, he can go heel and try to do like another feud with Samoa Joe for the TV title because, you know, if you remember years ago, AJ was the one who introduced it as the TV title, as before it was the TNA Global title. AJ was the guy that introduced it again as the TNA TV title.
Mm-hmm.
The ODB, Eric Young, and Tara Jesse match, that was more of an Impact Wrestling kind of match instead of a pay-per-view match. Shouldn't the titles actually be just a TNA mixed tag title by now? Because it doesn't seem like all the other female knockouts tag teams will disappear somewhere. Don't know where they went. But definitely the WTF moment of the night goes to Austin Aries for the main event. I know everybody was shocked about that little thing with the Magnesium and making the titles rise up.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when I saw that happen initially, I'm saying to myself, "Oh man, are aces and eights in this? What's going on right here?"
Exactly. You weren't if they was like pulling a screw job on them, or if this was a rogue referee, or you don't know exactly what was going to happen until it was Austin Aries, of course, and. That is a good question. What's going to happen to Austin Aries now? I mean, will he still try to chase after the title now, or exactly is Austin Aries' deal? Like,
I'll tell you
he hasn't seen him hanging like that.
I'll tell you exactly what's going to have to happen with Austin Aries now. You know, when it's all said and done, whether we like it or not, you know, James Storm, he's the new number one contender right now. So by default, he gets the next crack at Jeff Hardy. Now, some of us may not like that. Now, I know some people, they went on record and they actually would have preferred to see Austin Aries, they would have preferred to see out of that triple threat match AJ Styles win, because either AJ Styles versus Austin Aries or AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy, you would have had the great ingredients of a classic fucking match, hands down. I'm cursing now because over here on the East Coast it's after midnight, so I'm just throwing the F-bomb. So if your ears are a little sensitive, apologies in advance, but I'm probably going to be throwing F-bombs from here on now that we're past midnight. But, you know, I'm looking at what had happened here, and, you know, James Storm, Jeff Hardy, you know, I'm expecting James Storm to have a little bit of a rough edge working with Jeff Hardy. I just have this feeling right now, as I said on the Call That Match special from Saturday, it makes no sense to have Jeff Hardy even show hints of being a heel right now. He is so over as a babyface. The fans love him. Management loves him. James Storm can be that guy that can be a bit rough over the edges, tell it like it is. And, hey, if he ends up getting a little bit of heat, that's okay. He can deal with it. James Storm, Jeff Hardy, they're going to have one hell of a feud. But for some weird reason, I'm just thinking how TNA has been building up the Bobby Roode Storm rivalry, and if they do this right, because, I mean, they got the really great ingredients for this, they could have Bobby Roode interfere in James Storm's match against Jeff Hardy for the TNA title, and those two could just be locked one more time. I know some people are a little bit tired seeing these two guys have at it, but until we hear Dixie Carter or Hulk Hogan say, look, one more match, this is it, bygones are bygones, this is it, whoever wins, that's it, you guys will never be fighting one another again. We've seen WWE and a few other wrestling promotions pull that card where this is it, it's never going to happen again, this is your final match going head-to-head. We could see something like that happen with these guys. Austin Aries, I got him still being one of the front runners, but right now I kind of see him, I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him clash with AJ Styles. I could just imagine a really good program between those two guys right there. Just think about what would happen on Impact Wrestling this Thursday night. We see AJ Styles. He buzzes out an emotional speech about how he thought he was going to win the match, and he's trying to psych himself up and tell the crowd and himself that he's going to do whatever it takes to get back to the mountaintop. And we could just see Austin Aries come out, and he could basically tell AJ to get the heck out of the ring. He wants to whine and cry about his opportunity, and it could just blend into a great AJ Styles Austin Aries rivalry. I've been waiting to see these two guys really lock it up good for a while now. Definitely that would occupy both of these guys for a couple of months. But, you know, I think the real question should be, what the heck do you do with Bobby Roode? Because Bobby Roode is in a position right now, he's lingering in those corners, wondering when is he going to be able to get his opportunity. And in the meantime, the way that he's currently being done in TNA, I don't know about some of you guys, but the way I'm looking at it, if it was me, my advice to Bobby Roode would be maybe to see if he could jump ship, because, I mean, he was one of the hottest damn things in TNA happening, and now it's like he's really freaking irrelevant right now. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just really how it's been coming off. Let's go to our good buddy Dave from the Michigan area. Dave, you are live on the air, my friend.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, bro.
That was a really good pay-per-view tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to see with the whole AJ Styles thing right now, I mean, that's the big question.
Mm-hmm.
I could see so many different scenarios. I mean, you could have him try to revamp the X Division. I mean, you could have him form a tag team and go for the tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you could even have him join Devon in Aces and Eights. Doing
Hell,
all this, like, that would be an interesting thing right there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You see AJ and Devon, like the head of, or their so-called generals or whatever, the Aces and Eights, because AJ looked like he could turn heel after that little thing we've seen tonight.
Yes, indeed, yep.
I mean, that'd be huge. And I think what sold me, which I voted on your thing where it said, I voted 10 out of 10 because I think I was just being a prisoner of the moment maybe a little bit after a little while to wind down.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that match, just like, that ladder match was just like, wow, I haven't seen a ladder match like that in I don't know how long. I mean, just like you were saying earlier, it's psychology of the match. I mean, to have Jeff Hardy get buried under stuff, then him to disappear, and then you have Austin Aries pulling up the belts. And I think we have seen something like that before. I think it was a handicapped ladder match, the McMahons versus Austin,
mm-hmm.
and they pulled the briefcase up or whatever it was.
I'm remembering now. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all right.
I mean, I think it's been awesome. I mean, TNA. I mean, after Hell in the Cell, which is still fresh in a lot of people's mind. I mean, this pay-per-view was just a delight to sit down and watch and enjoy it because you had a lot of good matches on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love that freaking elbow drop that Eric Young dropped on that Jesse guy. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, that bad boy, little Shawn Michaels there.
Dude, for real, or Macho Man. I mean, put CM Punk to shame with that elbow drop.
Yeah. Now, how did that make you feel to see Eric Young, who's been gone from television pay-per-views for a couple of months now? He just comes in and boom, he just, it's a trend that we're seeing in TNA.
Well, yeah, look at, unless they got something in store for him, because you remember Destination X? We had who is it? It was Hernandez and Kid Cash in like a pre-show match.
Mhm.
And like Hernandez ain't been on TV in months, and all of a sudden he's coming back because they're getting ready to have him seen with Chavo. Obviously, you found out later on.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Eric Young. He hasn't been on TV in forever. But just throw him in a quick match, I think it makes sense. I don't know if it really makes any sense, but it's TNA. Does TNA really ever make sense?
Half the time, no.
I mean, you can't compare the companies as a company, but as the wrestling in the ring, it's comparable to that, and that's the only way they're comparable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't compare anything else with the company, advertise anything.
Yeah.
But you can compare. They all have great, and I don't know. I'm kind of torn about this whole. Yeah, I was really pulling for AJ in that match. I was really into that match. I was like, man, 3 years. John Cena thought he had something to cry about.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, AJ. There's so much stuff they can do with him, I guess, but I don't know. And to answer your question about the Bobby Roode, I could see them. Say you have Jeff Hardy and Storm, and you can have Bobby Roode interfere next month in their match and get a disqualification, which I hate that in pay-per-views, but somehow interfere, and then have a three-way at the next pay-per-view following that. Do something for a couple months. But what do you see them doing with AJ Styles? Could you see AJ joining Aces and Eights, or forming a tag team, or doing the X Division again?
I think one of the main things that would have to happen with AJ Styles right now, AJ is a tough cookie to crack, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because AJ is so versatile. I mean, you could put him in just about anything, singles, tag, stable, whatever, and AJ can just work with it for a few months. And it's a very powerful statement that TNA sends to us right now, especially for those of us that are hardcore AJ Styles fans, because we saw him go through those horrific storylines with Claire Lynch earlier in the year, and he had that whole feud that was going on with Daniels Kazarian just a little bit before that, and we've seen him team up with Kurt Angle a couple of times. They've captured the tag belts. I don't really know if it would be a smart move for AJ to go backwards and go for the tag belts. I don't really see that happening. I think he's run that course. I think right now the name of the game, something that Trey had said earlier, something to touch up on, I think that would suit AJ Styles better around this time. I think he should maybe take a stab at the X Division or the television champion. AJ Styles in Aces and Eights, I think that would dilute it a little bit. I just, although it would, on the flip side of that, it would have AJ busy for some months. It would breathe new life into Aces and Eights and stretch out just a bit longer. Who could the top guy be in that daggone gang or affiliation, whatever you want to call it, biker gang, biker club, whatever. That's two possible angles right there. You can either have him go for the X Division title, go for the television title, or somehow you can have him work his way into Aces and Eights. And, hey, there's a good storyline right there when you think about Aces and Eights. They could probably approach AJ Styles and say to him, look, you're not getting another shot at the TNA World title for a whole year. If you help us out, we can do everything in our power once we get total control of Impact. We can see to it so that you'll be able to get that title shot and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. You won't go wrong by us. I can see some type of a offer being put out there to AJ Styles like that. If we're thinking from a writing standpoint, that would really be something pretty good. It would keep AJ occupied for at least the next 4 or 5 months, maybe 6. But then you would have to kill the rest of that time. I think the rest of that time, after the 4, 5, 6 months, you could have AJ defect, go back to being face, and then right around that time for Bound for Glory, you can have him try to fight for that right to be the champion again. So really, it's very wide open right now how they're going to do AJ Styles, but that's going to be one of the main highlights that we're going to be seeing from this Thursday's Impact Wrestling. Of course, one of the other previews we're going to be getting for this Thursday is what's going to be next for Robert Roode. James Storm, of course, celebrating in his victory at tonight's pay-per-view, as now it looks like all eyes are set for a program with Jeff Hardy. Can't wait to see how that's going to jumpstart. Kurt Angle, Aces and Eights, that's another thing that we get to look forward to this Thursday night, as now Kurt Angle, he's got a big bullseye on his back right now, and looks like he could be joining the fate of the Icon Sting. Man, I'm telling you, if they do him like that, yeah, Angle's going to be on the shelf for a little bit. Of course, RVD, Matt Morgan, Joey Ryan, we got that next little development in that little tear in that little storyline from what we saw tonight. Looks like all 3 of these men are in no shape or form done just yet, or at least RVD and Morgan are not done with RVD. So a lot to look forward to, and hopefully going forward, I'm hoping Eric Young is back. I mean, I love Eric Young. He is one of the most underrated guys on the TNA roster, but I don't like it when he just pops up women and then he's gone for several weeks, a couple of months. I'm really hoping that EY is back at least for 2 months, because I want to see him work some really solid television matches and a couple of straight pay-per-views with ODB and really help push Tara and Jesse. I'm just getting this weird sixth sense that is one of the main reasons why EY is back right now, is to help push ODB and also push Tara and Jesse. So if that is the case, then I want to see him back for a little while to help continue that rivalry. Otherwise, I'm really not sure what could possibly happen with Tara, who has the Knockouts title right now, and really there aren't that many women she can defend it against, as the roster is so thin. I mean, we have, who is it? We have Brooke, Miss Tessmacher, we got her. We have Gail Kim. Madison Rain is MIA right now. I did happen to get an update on her, what she's been up to. She's been doing a little bit of outside promotional work. She's still with the company. No telling when she's going to be coming back. Of course, we got Velvet Sky, who's waiting for the green light to come back to the company full time. So very curious to see what's going to happen with that Knockouts title should Eric Young be removed from this beginning of what looks like to be a program with Tara and Jesse. It's going to be a very interesting week for this Thursday's Impact Wrestling. And, Dave, to answer your question, I did happen to see the Maid Show on MTV with Tara, and it was actually pretty good. I actually liked it. I liked that. It was pretty good. I think we did a pretty damn good job tonight. We had a pretty good post show. I think those of you that took the time to call into the show, as always, we love it when we hear from you guys. For those of you that checked out the show tonight, if it was your first time checking it out, really hope we did a good job covering TNA Wrestling. We try to do our very best over here every single week. So if you had like what you heard, we got your hook up. You can check us out every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on Blog Talk Radio and over at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com, where we'll always cover the very latest fallout from WWE Raw and latest in WWE wrestling-related news For your TNA fans, we got your hookup. We got you covered on Thursday nights at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, immediately after Impact Wrestling, as it's Impact Showdown Radio. You'll be able to catch all the fallout from every Thursday night's Impact Wrestling Live, along with great fan live reaction. So 2 really cool shows that you can check out on a regular basis. You can subscribe to us. And, hey, if you're on Blog Talk Radio, just pull up our profile, blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show, and you'll actually see a little follow button. You can click on that, and you'll always get alerts when we're getting ready to put up a new episode, so you never miss out. Once again, thank Blog Talk Radio for featuring tonight's episode as the staff picks. Also, want to thank you, the listeners, for checking out all the great shows that we've been putting out this week. Really means a lot. Once again, do hope you enjoyed tonight's post show. We are going to be on a 40-plus hour break, so to speak, and then we're going to come right back Tuesday night with an all-new episode of the Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show, where we are going to be on the eve of the Survivor Series pay-per-view, as it's now WWE's turn to come up to the plate and see if they can hit a home run and knock out the bitter taste from all you wrestling fans' mouths from that Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that we did last month. Right before we go off the air, let's see if we had got enough votes from those of you that did the TNA Turning Point vote there, where we had asked you how would you rate TNA Turning Point. We got 1 vote coming in. That one must have been from Dave, because he said he voted 10 out of 10. And we got another vote coming in at Good Pay-Per-View, 8 out of 10. So it's a bit tied right now. Feel free to cash your votes. We did just put that poll up not too long ago, and we'll definitely follow up on this on the next episode of Thursday's Impact Showdown Radio. In the meantime, the talk of wrestling doesn't stop here. Be sure to check us out at InfinityOneProductions.com for all the latest wrestling-related news and so much more. And that's going to do it. We did a pretty damn good show tonight. And one quick funny note, and I'm going to go off the air. I just have to end it on a funny note. There's a movie, not to get sidetracked, but there was a movie that I have been dodging for like almost 13 years, and I actually saw it last night as I was just up. I was just preparing notes, getting ready for tonight's show. And I said, what the hell, let me watch this movie, let me see what it's about. And now I am traumatized. And the movie that I had saw was Leprechaun in the Hood. Now I realize why I spent like 13 years dodging that movie, because that movie freaking sucks. That's all I got to say about that, folks. All I got to say is the cross-dresser with the dildo and bringing in the leprechaun into the bedroom. Need I say more? For those of you that remember that movie, need I really say more? That's going to do it, folks. As always, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Till next time we hear from you all be safe and you all be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you this Tuesday night at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern for the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show. Everybody, take care.